necessarily any good reason why it should appear so dark.
Hello. 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 Hello.
It's the holiday season.
Quality, quantity, and variety.
ROCKFLUX.
Let's get this show on the road.
Good morning.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Just sit right back and you'll hear a tale.
This is insane. Okay.
Thank you. And for some reason, there didn't seem to be any applause. Thank you. Forgot to click that little checkbox off. It's like weirdly, oddly colored, dark, strange in here. Don't know why. I saw 3 bugs today, I think. I just put this Vanity Fair cover up. 28th annual holiday issue, whatever that's supposed to mean. Nicole Kidman. I mean, can she lose any more weight? This is like, you've heard... Think of it in terms of a guy, it would be, think of a chick on a stick. All right. And then a guy being a blank on a stick, or a blank on a stick. I mean, I'd be embarrassed to be on the cover like that. What an ugly motherfucker. Or what a skinny fucking, weird fucking body. I mean, Jesus. If you got like the hots for somebody like that looks like that, you've got some kind of weird frickin' fetish. They used to call that one girl Twiggy back in the 60s or 70s whenever she was like a model, and she was a freak. And there's always been these heroin waifs on the, the Paris, fashion walk. But that's just because they could drape any kind of like frock over top of them. These stupid ass designers. Half the stuff wasn't finished. Half the things weren't going to ever become anything. Society's so sick. I'm looking for the title card, which is oddly colored as well. I can dream, can't I? That's me sitting at my bar. Now there's one weird thing going on there that is hard to explain. And that is, yes, you can see, this is me, this was taken like, I don't know, maybe last summer. I could see I had a dark suntan on and stuff like that. But the thing is, and the lighting was weird. And everything's dark today. But you could see the background image, but for some reason in the mirror, you could almost see a reflection as if there is another person in front of me, or if I'm looking at myself, or as if there were a mirror or something there. But the fact isn't. And if you look at the angle of the camera, you see, it's a ghost. What kind of ghost was there? Caught on camera. It's interesting. In the mirror is where you usually catch these things. This is a picture of my bar. My bar. There's a can of beer behind the morning show logo. I guess I could have moved I Can Dream, Can't I, over a little bit to the right to be centered. But actually, who cares, right? About any of that stuff.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I just kind of rushed this stuff together. I'm about an hour short of sleep. I may have to take a break. Had some prunes. I'm drinking some coffee, and it's a little bit later than usual, so if nature calls, I can't resist that. We don't want any complications, now do we, Ducky? Oh, no. You're right. You're right. So, yeah, start off like, getting on Nicole Kidman's case. But I mean, I think I might have to take a break. I mean, I just started the frickin' show. I'm only 5 minutes into it. But see, like, there's no way I could restart it. So it's like either you got to wait like 7 minutes till I come back and listen to some of my songs, which I get a copyright hit on. Or I could put the jig on loop. That would be bizarre, right? I could put the jig on loop. That would drive people batty, right? Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. Take another sip here, and in case it's urge overkill, we'll deal with it. But, the importance, health is much more important than anything else, right? This is just a weird thing. You could always fast forward because there's nobody watching this live. I'll be back. I mean, who wouldn't mind 10 minutes of the I was gone about 7 minutes. Just get comfortable. Yeah. That was neither a religious experience or anything satisfying in the sense of making me feel somewhat better. It was just nature calls, you know?
Really funny. Really funny.
I gotta wake up. That's my problem. I'm half asleep. It's like the cat woke me up at 11 o'clock. So what I did was, for those of you who want to know what's going on,
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
the continuing saga. So the cat woke me up. It's getting earlier and earlier now. So he wakes me up. Game over. Wakes me up at 7 or 11. So I decide I'm going to go downstairs and I'm just going to get a can of food, put some on a paper plate, and I look down into his water bowl down there, and there's like a bug crawling out of it, which explains why he hasn't been touching his water. You know? So I dump that out, rinse it out, put some fresh, clean water in it. I know this is disgusting to some people, but, you know, let's deal with real life. I can dream, can I? And there's a freaking ghoul in the mirror. There was nobody sitting next to me there that day. Not at that time. And look at the head, you know, of the person or image, ghoul or whatever. It's a different arm. There doesn't appear to be a hat on the individual. Right? The glow you see by my chin in the mirror is the cigar, tip of the cigar. But there's no cigar. I never noticed that before. You find very interesting things in photos. Somebody took a friend of mine took a picture of a big old building, big old brick building, like 150-year-old brick building or something. And it was in high reel with a good camera, not a phone. And when we were looking at the photo, because I thought it was a classic photo, and I think I might have printed out like at the time, I think we had a color, well, not think, I know, we had a color 11 by 17 printer copier. And I printed it out, and I looked at it, and in one of the windows, there was a guy looking out on like one of the lower floors. But just like he was, yeah, and that building should have been abandoned, but I mean, it was just a weird... It was like the way a guy might have been looking out that window 100 years ago type of thing. The stance and the way it was. It's fascinating. It's weird. But yeah, that's me suntanned, smoking a cigar, sans glasses at my bar. The girl with the cleavage in the background... Above her, it says smoking is permitted. And that little thing with the two blue lights on it is actually an amplifier that pushes two Bose speakers that takes like next to no watts at all. So I'm trying to tell you that if you have one of these things, thingamabobs, like, you know, like I guess maybe if I do this. You see how there's that, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, you see this is like this weird creation that happens there when I shine light on the back. You know? But anyway, that jackery there would more than push that amplifier for hours and hours. So getting back to the bar, which is my kitchen bar. You can't really see the bar top here. I have pictures that show that. I just randomly picked this because it's, you know, the title of the show is St. Patty's Week Continues, So Much Work to Do. and I put in the chat, cat, garden, bugs, roof leaks, budget, etc. It says average view duration it just switched up from 18 to 1904. Yet I'm showing concurrent viewers 0. It's flatlining down on the bottom. Chat rate 0 and view 0. So I'm being monitored by like who? Google algorithm, some AI type of setup, the NSA, you know, who? Right? They don't like I got too close for comfort, you know, with some of my, you know, talk about, you know, the truth that's going on. Speaking truth to power. They don't have power. You know what? It's like anyone else. They abuse a position. They're pussies. See, they don't have power. You know, it's like I was trying to say with like yesterday was the Rock'em Sock'em Robots thing. You know, it's like you're a Rock'em Sock'em robot in a ring, you know, with a bunch of pencil pushers, armchair generals, you know, and then people at CENTCOM pushing pushing your buttons, or the corporatocracy pushing your buttons. And he's saying with these people at these alphabet agencies, you know, and I still think it's funny that Google called itself Alphabet, and they're in bed with DARPA and all the CIA and all these other places, just like the AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. That's what AWS stands for. Hosts the CIA files on it, and they own the Washington Post. I mean, the bizarreness of that whole, that unholy trinity is crazy. But it's like billionaires don't have power. You know, Nicole Kidman, Hollywood people don't have power. Like she's standing there as if, look at me, I'm somebody, I'm a A-list actress, right? Like I said, remember, I was in Hollywood, I managed people, you know, and all that shit. I rubbed elbows with stars on a regular basis. I did shit for film companies. I designed actually the digital copy of a logo for one of the a major film company in so-called Hollywood. I mean, the idea that it's still called Hollywood and that probably 95% of Americans don't even know. Hollywood is a dump. Hollywood is like a crime. It's like kind of a crime, druggy-ridden, low-rent district, touristy place, right? They don't, it's not like anybody who's been out there knows. I mean, I lived and worked there and stuff. I know all about it. But Hollywood is like, is west. Of course, there's a place called West Hollywood. Which is weird because West Hollywood is actually east of Hollywood. No, it is west of Hollywood. That's right. I just had to get my bearings straight. Yeah, it is west. It is west of Hollywood. I'm here on the East Coast, and I'm thinking differently. But yeah, it is west of Hollywood. But it's basically West Hollywood's close to Beverly Hills, basically. It's West Hollywood, Beverly Hills. And then you move on forward and you end up to Santa Monica. You go north, you go up to Malibu. You go south, you go down to Venice. I mean, that's basically it. Further down, and eventually you hit San Diego in the south, and up you go to some of the good surfer spots way up north past Malibu. But anyway, I lived in Malibu. I lived in West Hollywood. I lived in Beverly Hills. And when I first went, I stayed in Hollywood, right kind of on the edge of Hollywood. And it was like a motel. But I ended up renting, they had like next to it a little courtyard apartment. And I rented that for a little bit. I was married at the time. I was in the process of getting a divorce, but we lived together because I'm just that type of guy. Even though, it was like she was the one who was like, had caused problems and stuff. In other words, I was an innocent party to the whole thing, But I didn't care. I slept on the couch, I think, most of the time. I don't know. I forget. I drank a lot. I mainly was writing screenplays and worked at a place. Well, I ended up, and I left town, and then I came back, and the place I used to work, I ended up having the guy I worked for, I ended up being a business partner with in a venture, and I don't know, it's a long story. I'm not going to get into it. I'm just really tired. I'm an hour short of where I should be, basically, sleep-wise. And in the room next to me is that bar room. Like, I can't see the bar. And I just got up. I didn't prepare. I don't prepare these shows this way. And Apple search is an Apple computer. It's so hard for me to find the bar top. Let's see if I can do this. Display capture, properties, window, yeah, let's see. Wait a second. That didn't exactly work out right. Let's see. Okay. How'd I end up with the 0 item? Doc. Desktop picture. Are we seeing it? These glitches in the matrix are so weird. There's got to, okay, desktop. Back. Let me just say okay here and see what happens. I mean, that shouldn't be showing. Oh, here we go. All right, so I have to hide this is what I have to do. Let's see, hide Chrome. I don't think that affects anything. And then, why are we still seeing 1 million of them? Right. But anyway, at least here you can see the bar. All right. So I have no idea why, we're seeing, infinity here. But you catch the grift. The drift. The grift. It is a grift. So anyway, let's just take that off. Let's bring back Google Chrome, and we're back to normal. Yeah, that was weird. But I think you get the idea that there's actually a bar there. And that was someone sitting at the other side of the bar. Obviously not that person that, whatever that image is that. See, there is no mirror on the other side, so there could not have been a reflection. That's just a weird thing. I don't even know if you can see that with your, if you got a smaller screen or a computer. You have to be looking on a very large screen or watching this on a TV. Okay, so we got that out of the way. So, what else?
Hey, it's me. How you doing, man?
Like I said, I got up at 11 o'clock. I came downstairs, decided the cat needed food. And I think I figured the problem out. Bugs have been getting in his food. And it's because of the next door neighbor, that witch. So today, listed in my chat, the weather, they messed up the weather forecast, so they change them every day. Like the inconsistency has just gotten to this point is out of control. And I guess it should be downright scary because weather patterns like this, see, we know that climate change, global warming, all that stuff has been debunked. Okay. I mean, you don't, but it has been. Okay. So what we're experiencing now is that, the effects of the sun, solar outbursts, we just had a CME hit Sunday. It wasn't anything, deadly, but I mean, like I said, it was the second one within a month that actually was, larger, of note, put it that way. Secondly, we have this magnetic field weakening, the poles, the magnetic poles moving, shifting, and we're in some serious cycles, of, solar cycles. And all these things affect cosmic rays coming in, the Earth's magnetic field, obviously, where the magnetism of the planet, when the geographic South Pole doesn't align with the magnetic South Pole, and when the magnetic South Pole has actually left the continent of Antarctica, you can understand that there's things are in a state of flux. So that's what this whole rock flux that I envisioned when I created this over 20 some years ago, the name ROCKFLUX, and have had sites and shows about this, for almost 25 years. Is what this is about. And, so we're going through what we used to call back then earth changes right now. And, these earth changes, and obviously these earth changes seem almost to be affecting the psyche of people. I don't mean to get all metaphysical on you, but I mean, we're in a state of flux, not only from a planetary standpoint, but, in a metaphysical, spiritual, way. And if you want to say that, in other words, it's for many people, who've been talking about the so-called end times for a long time and who, have been wrong so many times, we're finally reaching that point where if you look at all of the pieces of the puzzle, the so-called prophecy, right? And I don't pretend to be, a prophet, the mad prophet of the airwaves here. No, I'm just talking. I'm kind of, I'm just talking about life on this third rock from the sun, okay? It's in a state of flux, rock flux. And whatever it is and whoever we are, who are we, what are we, which was the title of one of my shows not so long ago. Microphone. I don't know if my chair's sinking again or the microphone's sinking again or I'm sinking again. I don't know. It's like I gained 3 pounds and it all came to my neck. Vanity. So you got all this craziness going on around the world. And people are in a state like yesterday. Of course, I went half off my rocker yesterday because I didn't sleep. And so it's just complete, utter madness. So I guess I don't mind being half awake. I guess the coffee will eventually wake me up. Though, I'm looking at this coffee pot here. And it's I hardly have anything left in here. I don't know if there's really enough in here to wake me up. I put some of that creamer, almond creamer in it. Because it has some good things in it. And there's no sugar in there. And there's no dairy. So it's... I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't call anything healthy these days. Though I did get a book and a little booklet, PDF booklet. I haven't bought the guy's book. He has a book. I think he has a couple books. It's Dr. Mark Hyman. And he's kind of one of the first doctors that I've seen. I was watching him in an interview on YouTube yesterday. And in the show notes, he put in like some stuff that had some dietary suggestions in there. And he kind of explains it. He's into this. He's in one of these health and longevities, like, you know, food is medicine type of guys, but also like that Sinclair guy almost. He's also into longevity too. But I guess he has a couple books out. I didn't watch the entire interview, but I think I did. I did watch the entire interview. It was pretty long. And so I had to come down here to check the show notes because I was watching it on my TV upstairs. But if you're interested in some of the stuff I've been talking about, this Dr. Mark Hyman, he's like kind of the first ones who's actually given more concrete examples, like menu items of food, you know? So I printed that out, this little PDF thing that he had there, and I'm giving him a free plug, and you know, I have to look into his book and stuff, but I highly recommend you check him out or read if you're a book reader, check out his book or whatever. He's got his act together, and seems to be an interesting guy, and you know, he's an MD. He's, you know, so he knows his stuff. He's, you know, and you know, and he cites a lot of realistic studies, and you know, the classic peer-reviewed type of things and stuff that nature. But if I combine, I'm thinking, and I haven't done it because this is a very hectic week for me. It's going to be. I hope I could make it through the day. You know, it's almost like I hate to do this. I drink coffee and then I can't really take a nap after coffee because it just keeps me up. You know, it like wakes me up. I'm hoping it does. Maybe it won't. But one of the things I'm going to do is I have to I'm going to attack these problems, you know, head on, one by one, and there are a lot, and that's the whole thing. And I think, like I said, you know, yesterday's show, you know, some of these shows you could look and say, well, it's like kind of semi-depressing or something. And it is, you know. But, you know, that doesn't mean you don't pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and start all over again, like the song goes that probably nobody knows. So I'm going to endeavor to persevere. And so today I think what I'm going to do is I got to deal with this bug problem, and it particularly mainly around where the cat's food and water bowl are, you know. Now that I actually saw a bug crawling out of its frickin' water bowl, because I came down 11 o'clock at night and turned on the big light, and this like round little bug. I don't even know what it is really. What, you know, it's weird because I've seen different kinds of bugs. Because like I say, I grow things and stuff, and particularly in the summertime. And then I had a neighbor who was a hoarder, and the houses aren't too far away. And I think she had an infestation or something, and she had gotten exterminated. And I think some of that stuff came over to my place. But I keep a clean house, and I also know about like, you know, boric acid and different things and stuff. I mean, I throw the kitchen sink at something and I usually solve it. And so I rarely had been seeing any bugs, but now there's been an uptick. So I don't know what it is, you know, what's doing this. if she got exterminated again, or it's the water, moisture, the water. I don't know what it is, but I got to attack it because it's going to kill my cat because he's not eating for some reason. I guess if he senses the smell of that thing in the water or his food bowl or something like that, he won't touch it. And he's lost like half his body weight. But he went to the vet, and the vet said, well, x-rayed him and took blood work and stuff. And at least at this juncture, there's the potential to turn around this problem. The main thing she said is he's got to put on weight. He's lost too much weight, and he doesn't. It's going to have complications, and it could cause even problems with, various things, So I guess I'm going to have to, there's a radiator. It's a low area. I'm not really good. This idea of having to get down on my hands and knees and try to scrub behind a radiator you can't move. It's one of those old metal radiators. And the previous guy somehow had affixed some kind of aluminum foil, but it's thicker than aluminum foil against the wall. And I guess his idea was some kind of NASA idea or something, that by putting this aluminum foil or whatever the heck it is behind the radiators, it would reflect the heat into the room or something like that. But when you're dealing with bugs, insect problems, you just don't want any hiding places, And this is one big, this is the big radiator in the kitchen. So it's like almost a 4 foot by 3 foot, at least, giant thing. And I don't even know. And the thing is, if I tried to pull it out, this guy was such a maniac, he might have it stapled in the very center or something. And I'm half afraid if I pull half of it out, it's just, then. So I don't even know if I should take any of it out. If I should just go to the floor, get down on my hands and knees and scrub a dub the entire area under it and get as close behind it as I can, dry all that up, and then I have a white exterior paint because I don't even give a shit. And then paint that whole back area. Today it's supposed to get up to 57. It was originally going to be in the 60s today. Just pissing me off. Because I could have had that window, but I'm going to have to open the window even at 57, which, I don't know. Of course, the heat will be on, and that'll turn that radiator on, and that'll dry the paint really quick at least. But at least the smell of the paint will go out. It's a latex base, but it's an exterior white. But I'm going to paint that whole area white so I could see every nook and cranny. I'll even paint the floor area, right by the baseboard and out a little bit onto the tiles. See, I don't care. I'm not going to sell this house. Or if I sell this house, they have to accept that. I mean, I don't really care. I didn't pay anything for this. I just want a clean place. And then I figure once that dries, I'll see every nook and cranny. And then I'll get caulking. And I will caulk every nook and cranny with bathtub tile caulk, And this is after disinfecting, cleaning, right, that whole spot. And then in the corners and at any exposed spots where the radiator pipe comes up from the basement, I guess I'll have to get some kind of heat resistant to a certain temperature. Radiators don't get that hot, but they do get up fairly, hot enough. Some kind of silicone-based sealant or something, or some kind of sealant, and put that around, where the pipes come up and down, the intake and, the return. And then in the corners and behind it, put boric acid. You see what I'm saying? This is a process, and it's going to be 60 degrees supposedly tomorrow, 63 or 60 or something. I don't know. Like I say, I can't trust this weather. I look at the weather app, then it takes you to like the weather channel. I guess they have a deal with Apple. But then Thursday, it's going to be thunderstorms, and Friday, thunderstorms, Saturday, rain. But I want to go out. I don't want to waste a lot of time on this because I have to go outside today and tomorrow and spend 2 days outdoors getting my garden ready on the 2 dry days. And I want to I'm actually going to put some cool weather crops out there because there's no freezing weather in store for a week, yet there is rain. And I have things that can cover for the frost. Sunday's the first day of spring. All right. So I've neglected cleaning up from in the fall because I was having some problems. And then I got to deal. So then I have to go up and I've already put a couple extra layers up in the roof or the attic area. So I won't know until we get this like crazy rain coming in on consecutive days. What's going to happen? What if I've had any success in slowing down some of these leaks that have been making it down to the second floor? Again, I'm not happy about anything in the attic, and going up there with a pump and trying to pump out this water and dump it out the frickin' window is not exactly, something I want to do. And it inevitably here it rains after midnight, so it's like. That's one of the reasons why I do this show. It's 4:59 a.m. Eastern Time on the 15th, the Ides of March. Caesar, beware the Ides of March, 2022. And it's because I inevitably, every time it rains, I get woken up in the middle of the night anyway, or worse than the middle of the night, like, 1 o'clock. And then if it's a heavy rain, I have to go up there every hour and empty these things out, or they'll overflow. And I have some big buckets and stuff. I mean, this is a real crazy thing. That's a garbage truck. That's right. Today they should be picking up my garbage. And wasn't last week the every other week is the recycling one when the truck usually just passes. So it's like, I got to worry about that too. I better have picked up my stuff, or I hope nobody kicked it over or did something weird, some stupid bum, right? Kid or, bum, or adult bum. It's like the next door neighbor. These people who park partway on the sidewalk because they're mental midgets. All right. So they don't have the concept of understanding that this street is made to have it's a two lane street, one direction, two direction, you can go down and up, and there's still enough room to have parking on both sides. But people can't judge it, and they look at the street, and they're like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to get hit by a truck. My car's going to get hit. So they park half their car on the sidewalk. And all our sidewalks are all, like, ruined, and even, like, the UPS trucks and stuff. They just can't calculate, like, mentally, because there's no line drawn for them. See, this functional illiteracy of people. That's why they put, like I always laughed at the game spots, during when they were social distancing people, social, Patriot Act, social distancing. Why would you add the word social to it? Right? What's social about a grocery store? And they put these game marker pieces. Stand on the game marker pieces. Pretend you're in like a real, you're playing a game, and you're the You're the game piece, and here, stand on this one, and then when that person moves, you move to the next spot. But they called it social distancing. Well, how could it? What was so? It was the complete opposite of being social, right? You scream at the person, and besides, you were getting into their space. Their airspace, walked in, I went through that before a long time ago. The absurdity of that was the only way a system like that would have worked is if there was some kind of lighted thing where they would randomly change lanes, in other words, the checkout, if you had 5 checkout lanes, because in the morning in the grocery stores, they usually only have one open. But if they had 5 checkout lanes, and it's usually lit up top, which checkout lane's open. And so what they would have to do is you would do your social distancing, and you would be in lane 1, but the next person would go to lane 2, and the next person would go to lane 3, the next person would go to lane 4, then next person would go to lane 5. And then by that time, then you could circle back to lane 1 because there's, if you had a good HVAC system with filtration and whatnot, which is all they really needed to do, which they never did. Because I found one myself at Lowe's. I found a filter, and I put it on the back of a fan. I showed you that picture on my Instagram page. It's still up there if you want to go take a look at it. There's a link below to my Instagram page. Just go down a few, and you'll see the cat next to this filter. But the filter's duct taped to the back of a box fan, floor fan. But that particular filter filters out 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, right? And so, that's the thing, in other words, that was never talked about. So basically what the stores, the money that they gave, rather than give money to let people sit at home and do nothing. And, and this is going to happen again. I mean, what'd they find? 30 bioweapons labs over in Ukraine. So that's the real, this was the test run the last 2.5 years. So the stuff they developed over there, they got busted. Russia busted them as far as I'm concerned. That's what I think. That's my running thesis on this thing. Hypothesis. All right. Hypothesis. But what they should do is, rather than have left people stay at home, and played all these other games, they should, and because they handed out this trillions of dollars or whatever, they should have given that money to the stores to upgrade their HVAC systems. In other words, buildings, office buildings. And the idea was to increase the RPMs, or the circulation rate, right? And yeah, this, in a small store, it would have cost thousands of dollars. In a big office building, it could have been tens of thousands. But that's the kind of money they were giving out. In the long run, it could have saved a ton of money because the economy, businesses could have stayed open, and they would have had business, and, blah, blah, blah. And small mom pop businesses that were doing, they weren't even aware of that sort of thing. They should have had, I don't even know if you know this. I do it because I bought an air conditioner for my bedroom, but this used to be a barbershop. So this room here where I am was this old guy. The reason I got this place cheap is this old guy retired, and I don't know if he went to a nursing home or something like that, but the house was sat empty for a while. And I guess he eventually died, or whatever. And so the building was just sitting here, but it was a one-chair barber shop. And so what I call my studio now, because that's all it's really is, it's not really big enough to be a living room. It was like a barber shop, and it's got what I call the WC. It's just basically a sink and a toilet right over there, because that was usually mandatory to get inspected. If you have a place open to the public, you have to have a place where they can wash their hands, use a restroom. But it's just a small room relatively small room, but there's this big air conditioner built into the wall that came with the building. It's not like a window. It's like was built into there, and it's old. It's from the 60s or something, but it works really well. This guy was a gadgeteer, he made things, and he was like a hobbyist inventor type of guy. He's got all kinds of weird little things, And so one of the first things I did when I tested it to see if it worked, and it did work, when I was in here cleaning, I had the air conditioner on just to circulate the air because I was using, cleaning VOC, mopping the floors down and stuff. When you first buy a property, you got to go through it and clean it out. So I went to one of the box stores, and you may or may not know this. A lot of people don't know this. And even those older air conditioners, you could look around to see if you could snap off the plate or unscrew the plate or slide something out. And you can replace that with like a filter or like this foam type of thing or something that's going to gather the dust and particulate matter. Now, it's not necessarily going to be at a micron level, that you want. It's a different story, but in the store system, in HVAC systems, they have those kind of filters available. So there's two things you want to do. This is just me giving you some education. I'm sorry, but, why not?
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
This is fascinating stuff, all right? If you were in an office building, or if you were in a supermarket, or if you were in a fast food restaurant or a mom-pop even store, but you've got an HVAC system in there, you want to do two things. And they are, one, you want to replace your filter immediately, if you haven't, but you want to replace it immediately with an antibacterial, antiviral filter. They don't cost that much more. They're about $20 for the average HVAC system. They're in that range. I mean, with inflation now, they could be $30 for all I know. And you got to read it and make sure that it's antiviral as well as antibacterial, and so that it's, collecting, whatever. And some of these systems actually are already built for that kind of thing. I think even in maybe in supermarkets, where they also have like a UV light. Like hospitals have that kind of thing. I know when you're looking up when you're being rolled in the gurney into the operating room, you can see these UV lights along the path on the ceiling. That's all to kill all the germs. UV light, it's nature's disinfectant. When you're out in the sun, it's just another thing about the sun that they were wrong about forcing people to stay inside. Because not only is vitamin D boost your immune system, but the sun, the UV rays, basically kill germs on contact, pretty much. Yeah. But anyway, so what I was trying to get at is in a larger place, you also want to increase the RPMs or the circulation, the speed of circulate, the number of times the air is circulated within that particular room or building. You see? If you're when you're dealing with some kind of infectious disease type of thing or prevention of, or even just during cold and flu season, it would make good sense. It would be something in the summertime you could ease off on, to save your motor or something if you wanted to. But just in general, because people are carrying all kinds of germs. And it's like in this day and age, to use that expression, I think that we need to talk about Build Back Better. See, these are the things people don't talk about, just like they don't talk about nutrition. That's what I like about this Dr. Hyman guy, because he was, he agreed with it. He was talking about in medical school. And he's even have some kind of foundation where they're trying to lobby that in order to get your medical license, that 10% of the test should have to be questions about nutrition, because currently they're not. So doctors are becoming licensed physicians, doctors, surgeons, whatever, and they might have a course in the history of infectious diseases and nutrition, weird things, just they're not told anything about the benefits of broccoli, for example, or the dangers of sugars. You see what I'm saying? Carbs and stuff like that. It's not stressed. And a lot of doctors now are basically taking it upon themselves, that many of them have, to basically go this route. And the idea is, and it might have been the title of his book, or it was the title of something that this guy's done, Hyman, Food as Medicine, or something along those lines. I forget what it was. I don't have it in front of me. But, what the heck, we're talking about him, so let's go to the videotape now. Yeah, look at this. Now, is that a glitch in the matrix or what? And like the way I'm looking, with the cigar staring into infinity, and it just keeps going further and further and further. It's insane. New window. All right. Now, let's see if it's not working right. I kind of messed this thing up, I think. Save. And what I want to do is we want to go to YouTube. New tab. There we go. Dr. Mark Hyman. Let's see if we can find his website. Friendly enough looking fellow. Food isn't like medicine. I don't need updates. Sorry, Mark. Food isn't like medicine. Man, he's got everything going to get that. Food isn't like medicine. It is medicine. And it's our number one tool for creating the vibrant health we desire. Mark Hyman, MD. Okay? Check out this guy. It's Dr. Hyman. drhyman.com. All right? And there's video here. And, food, what the heck should I cook? You see what I mean? He's the first guy I found, look at this, 6 foods you should never eat. People talking about him, testimonials. He has a newsletter. He's got this pharmacy, how to start your morning, as in pharmacy, So it's like, some of these guys are starting to get it together, and it's like, and this is a well done website. So I guess I am going to sign up. This browser is my, my YouTube browser. So let's make sure I don't have an extra window open or something weird like that. So some of these doctors are starting to do this sort of thing. All right. And that's great. I mean, that's really great. So, I don't know my whole trend of thought on this was, other than that was something I did yesterday. But what I guess I was trying to say is that, my bar now is becoming more of my health bar, I guess. But the idea is that I haven't gone through his stuff, and I'm going to follow some of his stuff. And I've been listening to some other doctors. And like I say, you can't, as much as I'm sure a lot of these guys would like to think they have the answer, right? People write a book, and all that stuff, and they do the research, and it works for them or whatever. But I think most of the doctors, in fact, I think he may have said it even in his thing, is it's like you're still dealing with individual patients, and we're still individual people. So, you have to, for each of the metabolisms, our bodies, and issues that we may be affecting us, health issues, are going to require different, regimens and diets and things like that. So, you have to take, look at a broad spectrum of, nutritionists, what doctors are saying, dietitians, nutritionists, that kind of, I guess, almost the same thing, and maybe not. I don't know. I don't have a degree in either of those things. All I know is that I've been doing the research for, quite a long time right now. And, this Hyman was the most latest one that I've added to my list, and he's very thorough. One of the most thorough I've seen. There's a lot of guys throw a lot of stuff out, and you watch a video, it's almost like you're taking notes, like you're in a class or something, and they're talking fast, and it's like, but then they don't get into enough detail, so they just drop something out there, and you're like, well, what's that? So you don't know, and everybody's good at pushing things like that. And then I get told you on the internet, there's so many contradictions. So you don't listen to me because I'm not a doctor, but you look at these guys, but what you want to do is basically what I'm trying to do personally, and I'm just doing this for myself, is I'm trying to look at as many of these doctors that, who think of food as medicine, which it really is. I mean, you are what you eat is a true statement. I mean, it's a fact, and certain things you eat will alter, can make you, will affect your metabolism. I mean, in the simplest way, if there's even a doubter, if there is somebody who possibly doubts that, the simplest solution is like a cup of coffee or somebody who takes an energy drink, which I wouldn't recommend energy drinks. But I mean, an energy drink, or it's like somebody doing a shot of, tequila. You're going to feel that, right away, right? You should do shots of 100 bananas or whatever that was called. It was like some 100 proof weird banana thing. Like when you quick did the shot, it just tasted like it was like banana flavor, but then it was like, as if you're drinking rubbing alcohol. Wouldn't recommend that either. But I mean, you instantly are like, whoa, right? But the same is with people who get a sugar buzz and they, just drinking a couple of, people drinking a couple cups of coffee, cappuccinos, and cans of Diet Coke. People are addicted to that and stuff like that. I used to drink a lot of that kind of stuff. People who are chocoholics, So different things, affect your body. So if we all have experience with things like that, where we've seen almost an instantaneous, metabolic change, right? There goes the trucks. So you could imagine that there are other changes going on in your microbiome, in your gut, and certain things you're inputting, that may, after digestion, fat-soluble vitamins. That's the thing I'm dealing with when I'm trying to deal with this gallbladder situation. Foods that, And so, there are some things that have almost an instantaneous response to your body, in your body. And there are other things that will happen over the course of time, hours even, if not like the digestive process. I think it takes about 13 hours, if I'm correct. I believe when I had a colonoscopy when I turned 50, the doctor told me something like it was like 13 hours for full something goes through your body at 13 hours or something like that. And within a half hour, basically a signal goes, after you eat, a signal goes to, well, I don't want to get into all that kind of stuff. This isn't a medical show. This is, I can dream, can I? The idea is I can dream, can I? Is I do want to open the bar. And it is St. Patrick's Day week. And I really would like to do something. I haven't had it, I haven't really used the bar as a bar per se in a couple of months. So I think I could do it. And I realize drinking is carbs, and carbs are sugars, and sugars are poisonous. Sugars are basically poisonous, and carbs are sugars. And unless you're some kind of athlete or something like that, like today, I had this cereal was high. I just finished it off because I accidentally bought it. The cereal was actually called Vitality. I mean, I crumbled up the box and put it in my garbage. I should have brought it out because the box was empty. I screwed up with that. Because that one has like on the side, a whole list of like how all these vitamins and stuff that's in it. But when you look at the carbs and the sugars, they're like off the charts. But I figured I'd polish it off, today, because I'm going to be doing all of this down on my hands and knees, scrubbing, and just burning up, and so I could probably, those carbs are going to get burned. That energy is going to get burned, as opposed to if I just sit on a chair, I'd probably gain 5 pounds from that cereal I had, the way my metabolism works, I'm telling you. And then later on, that's what I'm planning to do mid-morning. And then I'm hoping that by 11 or 12-ish, I'll put a coat of paint on, hopefully 11-ish, open the window, which is next to this radiator. So those VOCs, even though it's a water-based paint, a latex, I have a small exhaust fan I'll put on the window to force it out that window so it doesn't go through the house. Force things out. And like I say, if it's only going to be in the 50s, my heat's going to go on. And that heat should dry it out, and then the VOC should go out the window. And then I'm going to work out in the backyard, and I'm going to do dirty work. A lot of dirty work. Physical dirty work. So I'll take like 6 bottles of water with me to stay hydrated so I don't get pass out. Got to stay hydrated. Anyway, that's my plan for today. So I plan on burning calories pretty much. So with my luck, I won't. It's not like I gained these 3 pounds because I've been eating this cereal and shit. It's so ridiculous. But I haven't been getting an awful lot of exercise because we've been snowbound. And the day I shoveled snow, my heart rate was like, people get heart attacks shoveling snow. So, that was a stress test for me. I survived. But, I could not have, So anyway, so those are, so I'm going to attack. So, and like I say, and it's a multi-day process because the painting, if I get to the painting point, which I really am going to get to, and I have an extra brush upstairs, and I've got this can of white paint that I've kept in the house. Never leave your paints in. Like I have a garage that's like detached. It's at the end of my thing. And it's like a walk-in cooler, out there. I'll open that today, the garage door, and I have a door, and try to get an airflow through there. So if it's 50s, the dry air goes through and kind of starts drying some of that out. And I'll do that every day for at least the next 2 days if it doesn't rain. And hopefully I could start to get that place dried out, because that's my staging area for my garden. It's a mess in there. Like I say, the fall, I didn't get a chance to really do what I wanted to do. So, so today is basically clean up, organize, and then tomorrow is going to be back at it. Come in, take a shower, and I'll be beat and just watch something on YouTube and probably crash relatively early. And tomorrow I will caulk down in the, around that radiator and those areas, and try to find every possible place where any kind of bug can get in and start attacking this problem, because I have to solve it. And then I'll go, after I'm done doing that caulking, I'll have the window open again, let that caulk VOCs, though those things don't really smell much. But get the air in there, and I'll go back out in the yard, and I'll be doing some more transplanting and cleaning and raking and fixing up my raised beds and getting ready for the cold weather crops. And it's kind of early, but there are certain things that will grow, like radishes will grow in 28 days. And I get a lot of sun out back. It's a south-facing area. And I also have a greenhouse, a little mini greenhouse. So I may just put some stuff in the greenhouse. It all depends on what I think, what I feel like. I'll just have to look at it and assess the situation. But there's a good possibility that I probably will plant the kale, because the kale can withstand a frost. I have these chard plants that I've been growing that are kind of leggy. If you look at my Instagram thing, I have cilantro, which is a cool weather crop, and I said chard. What was the other one? And I have garlic and onions, which they could go in the ground too, because you overwinter those kind of things, so they're not going to be a problem. And I have these little like glass container, like I have things that I can cover, to prevent frost, or if we get another snow or something like that. It's enough to protect it. See, it's the cold weather. The idea is that you don't want the frost touching the plant, but a thing like kale, right, or a radish, these are cooler weather crops. Certain things like that, they could withstand it if it goes down into the 30s at night. Now, if we got some weird freak weather where it gets down into the teens, that's like kind of crazy. Well, the kale plant will actually survive it. I don't know about some of the other stuff. But if, put it this way, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care. And I've got the seeds, and I've got to organize my garden anyway. So it's got to be, I have to get this like layout figured, because I want to lay out my garden this year for the food, because we're looking at food shortages. And nobody's paying attention to this. The average person isn't paying attention to this at all. And there are going to be runs on the supermarket again, just like in the pandemic stuff, because once this starts hitting, the prices have already gone up. We're already dealing with like runaway inflation. All right. And, you know, that's going to affect people like are going to stock up because they think the price is even going to go higher once they start hearing this talk. But when you look at the truckers where they're saying it's costing them a couple $1,000s to put gas in their rig, and, you know, they've got to cross the country and fill up multiple times, you know, just, you know, do the simple math in your head. It doesn't matter how many items are in the, you know, in the car or in the container, you know. You know, if they're transporting one of those containers across, you know, filled with something. You know, think about it. I mean, if you put $5,000 worth of gas in your truck and you got 5,000 apples that you're bringing from the West Coast, you know, to the Midwest or the East, that's $1 per apple. You see what I mean? In just simplistic terms. You know, so that's why, you know, you look at these dollar stores, Dollar Tree, and they're like everything's $1.25 now, 25% inflation. So the government is still claiming that we have 7.9% inflation. You got to laugh at that too. That's as bad as like, you know, sign up today. It's only $9.95. You know, come on, man. It's $10. All right. But the government's 7.9%. So in other words, they're trying to say it's 8% inflation. But it's not an 8% inflation rate. Right? It's anywhere from 25 to 33%. That's the real inflation rate in the US. Think about it. Right? You know? But without a doubt, it's at least 25%. In most areas, you know, some areas that aren't hit bad, it's 25% minimum. In other words, your dollar stores have raised their price from $1 to 25 cents. That's 25%. All right, increase. The price of gas has gone from like $3 to $4. That's a 25% increase. Even though we were in the 2s a few years ago. But I mean, recently it's been in the 3s and now it's 4-ish. Now in California, it's like 6, or certain areas it's like 5. But I'm saying, generally speaking, it's a minimum. The inflation rate is a minimum of 25% inflation. And the government puts out this thing and they show it on the nightly news and stuff. And people are like, oh, 7.9% inflation. That doesn't seem that bad. Right? I mean, that's the ultimate clown-ass game, too. 7.9. Like, they're afraid to even get near 10. But the real inflation is a minimum of 25, but it's more like, you know, between 25 and 33% on average. But a lot of stuff has gone even higher than that, and some items are 100% or more. In other words, the prices have doubled. I told you about things like cans of tomato paste and different items like that. Something that cost 39 cents now costs 95 cents. That's more than doubled. Do you understand? If a price doubles, that's 100% inflation rate. Right? That's 100%. And so as people get wind of this kind of thing, you know, they're going to go crazy. That's why I want to drink. That's also, look at the cleavage on that babe. Anyway, enough of looking at that. I just wanted to show that. I can dream, can I? You know, I just want to be happy. You know, I just want to have fun. I don't want to be, you know, it's not like I want to be a drunkard. I don't want to it's like, but you know, it's St. Patrick's week. normally, yeah, I'd like to have a few drinks and, I don't get crazy. I was talking to somebody on the phone about, last week, and they were trying to say, all you got to do is get medical marijuana. Join us. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't want to be stoned. And, alcohol's poison. It's going to mess your liver and kidneys and stuff. Yeah, it's no good for you. But I'm not going to be drinking hard liquor. I just want to sit at the bar, listen to some music, and have a couple of beers. Maybe a Guinness half and half or something like that. It's like I wish I could. I really want to, one of the things I want to do is the reason I want to stay healthy in all this, and get this bug problem and cat situation. I want to get him healthy again. I want to get my garden going. And then I want to get this studio thing going, fixed. Because I want to revamp this room completely. It's just not functional, but it's a major operation. It's like a week. Looks like an earthquake. I just hit it. Because that's the problem I have. It's just too much stuff in too small a space of an area, and the cat no longer, half this room is dedicated to a use that it's no longer used for. But it's not as simple as moving some furniture around, because I've kind of built a studio. It's wired, it's connected, things are bolted into wood and steel and, and built onto, right, over a number of years. So it's the dismantling process alone is going to be kind of touchy, right? And then I've got to still figure out, what I want to do is I want to create a desk, a wooden desk. And I have a wooden top, but I want a wooden desk that I could actually put my elbows down on. See, right now I don't have that. I've got a keyboard, and that's a weird sound. I'm practically out of coffee, man. Garbage truck. Let's say that would be, looks like he's grabbing something. Let's see. Let's see. He said something. Is he going to throw it in? We can't really see. I think, yeah. Well, hopefully. Yeah, he stopped, so. I had to double, triple bag that garbage. And I intentionally bought these stretchable garbage bags. The bag I put in my garbage thing has a scent to them. You get them at the Dollar Tree for $1.25 now. And I know this sounds terrible, but bugs don't that has some kind of scent in it. I don't like any scent, period. I'm not that kind of person. The only scent I like are evergreen and certain things like that, apple cinnamon and evergreen type of thing, Christmas tree type of thing. That's about it. I can't stand any smelly, that kind of stuff. I don't use those dryer sheets or anything like that. I don't want my clothes. When I dry myself with a bath towel, I just want to dry. I don't want to smell any kind of scent. But apparently bugs don't like scents. A lot of scents they stay away from. But I was told that there were things like bay leaves and different things, and even catnip and stuff that were things that they were, didn't like. But like I said, I've just recently been seeing too many, so now I got to attack this situation. So you understand the frustration I've had on a couple of these depressing shows, and I'm sure it's not the end. You know, like I say, I'm just a human. I'm going to have good days and bad days, you know. And a lot of times it's... This is insane. But I'm not going to pay any attention, though, anymore to this stuff that's going on overseas. I can't really focus too much on that. I mean, I may talk about it from time to time if something is in my face. But, you know, it's like you have to focus. I'm trying to deal with this nutrition deal. I'm going to try to share anything I can with you, you know, or point you in a direction that you could maybe get, you know, nutritional advice or health advice from your doctor. But at least you could, like I say, you know, you take the index card with you with a series of questions to your doctor. Hey, doc, you know, what if, you know, should I be eating broccoli? Hey, doc, should I be eating, you know, what about this? Here's like, you know, like cut the label off of the sugar, you know, that thing on your, you know, the food thing that tells you, you know, I mean, I don't know if I could look this up. I really wish I didn't put it in the garbage. I'm going to put display capture on. New window. All right. Vitality cereal nutrition. Let's see if we can find a label. No, they don't have it there. This was this weird cereal. So this was this cereal I had. Calories and vitality. I don't really care about that. Let's see. Here it is. Oh, wait. See if this is... This looks a little bit different than the one I had. Yeah, that's not it. But it's close. Okay, so this is probably older. So, yeah. Let's look at this thing here. I want to give you an idea. Vitality cereal vanilla almond, which was basically what I kind of had. Okay, fit and active. All right. Look at this. YouTube. Okay. Now, it says 110 calories. The one I had was like 160 calories. Okay, so it's low in fat. So people are thinking, oh, wow, no cholesterol. Sodium and potassium, people don't really, that doesn't bother them. But then nobody pays attention. 25 grams of carbohydrates and not 9 grams of sugar. Okay? And the one I had was even higher than that. Related product. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. This is closer to it. Okay. This is the one, I think. It was like 150. Yeah, this is it, I think. 33 grams of carbohydrates. 33 grams of carbohydrates. Include sugars, 10 grams. All right, includes 9 grams of added sugar. So, okay, 10 grams of sugar and 33 grams of carbohydrate. But it's cholesterol-free, low-fat, good source of fiber, saturated fat-free, right? You see, low-fat, FDA shelf tag, no milk, no soy. Okay, all that's good. I'm into that. No artificial sweeteners. But it's got 10 grams of sugar. Okay, so now let's close out of that. Well, let's open a new window. All right. Daily nutrition calculator. Let's see what that thing is. Food calculator, carbs, fat, protein, and more. Let's see. No, that's not it. Daily carbohydrate intake. Carbs and sugar intake. How much is too much? Okay. All right. Now you got to read an article here. You're going to give us some frickin' numbers. They don't give you. I want numbers. All right. Let's see. Let's see if what people ask. How many carbs should I eat? No. Is 100 carbs a day low carb? While there is no strict definition of a low-carb diet, anything under 100 grams per day is generally considered low carb. That's bullshit, man. Okay, daily sugar intake, which is the same as carbohydrate. Recommended daily sugar intake. Percentage daily value. Oh, damn. Recommended grams of sugar per day. Like where? You see what I mean? Is 27 grams of sugar a lot? You see how this is like they just take you on this thing. 30 great grams of sugar. The truth about sugar. All right. Man, I was like, I didn't want to, I was trying to, fuck you. Fuck. I didn't want to like get into that kind of stuff, but geez, man. The internet is fucking broken, and Google is the most useless fucking thing in the world. Do you understand? They won't tell you nutrition. You go down to some kind of rabbit hole. There's articles and all this stuff because there's this sugar lobby and the FDA is, getting butt fucked by the fucking big pharma, big ag, and big med, right? Big pharma and big medicine, they want to just keep treating cancer and heart disease and operating, take your gallbladder out, give people those diabetics, they don't want to cure diabetes, right? They just want to, sell them devices and get money from Medicare and other shit because, the poor are the ones who have the most type 2 diabetes, obesity, and diabetics, right? Poor people in inner city, people of color, right? That's the real prejudice in this country is by the FDA and the government, right? Like food stamps, the EBT system. I'm sorry, we've turned into a little bit of a rant here, but I might as well because the show has been going in this direction. You get a poor person and they give them basically, in other words, free food. They get a food card. Used to call it food stamps, but now it's like a ATM card. They don't give them any education on nutrition. Doctor doesn't give a shit because it's McMedicine. As you go into the doctor and the doctor's like, I don't want this person, Yeah, right. You got to get a better diet. You try to lose some weight. And they go to the grocery store and they get $195 like put on their EBT card each month. Something ridiculous like that. Depends on how many kids they have. And they might also now in certain states they can get a couple $100 cash per kid. Right? And they're not given, this is cash, not food. That's in addition to the free food. Right? So they're not, they're buying new clothes for their kids. I mean, some people are really nice people and they care and they're good moms and dads and stuff. But you know what I'm talking about in general. You throw somebody $1,000 extra cash a month living in, my neighborhood, for example. I know I walk down the street, today's garbage day, as it becomes lighter and lighter, the store used to open at 6 a.m. The grocery store, it's about a mile or so down the street. And so this time, before I used to do this, I used to make these videos, produce them. So I would produce them during the day, not at 5:53 in the morning. At 5:53 in the morning or 5-something in the morning, I'd be walking because that store used to be open like 24 hours. Then they moved it to 6, and now they don't open till 7 or something. And Sundays they don't open till 8 or something. It's just less and less hours, less and less service, higher prices and less service, right? So I'd walk there, and it would be daylight in the summertime, because it gets light at that time by then. And I'd be looking, walking down the sidewalk on garbage day, and you see the stuff that people have in their recycling bins and their they just throw their garbage in these garbage cans. They don't even use plastic bags like I do. I wrap everything up and seal it, double seal it, right? I don't use a garbage can. And you see boxes of frozen pizzas, crumpled up bags of chips, you know what I mean? 6-pack or case of beer boxes, cheap bottles of rum or vodka, right? This is what you'd see put out, in the garbage of these houses where people are on basically welfare, getting the free food thing and the free money. Now, that's a neighborhood I live in, but I'm on the main drag, and so what? I don't care. Like I say, at least so far, knock on wood, this part is half decent. But that's why I got camera 2 up there and camera 3, and all that stuff. In fact, we haven't looked at camera 3. The heck with it. We don't need to see it. So anyway, there's no attempt to deal with nutrition. So the poor are being victimized by the government. All right? Because the government then in turn, this system is like, it's a circular system. They give them this money. They buy bags of chips, frozen pizzas, sodas. That's what they feel. When I go in the grocery store, I watch them when the checks come out, the refills. And in my cart, it's like, kale, red bell pepper, broccoli, cauliflower, leafy greens, except in the summertime when I grow my own, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, that kind of stuff. Right? And I look in the cart in front of me and the cart in back of me, and it's DiGiorno pizza, frozen pizza, jumbo party bag of chips, case of soda, some kind of orange juice, which is the worst sugar, is all sugar. It's not good for you. There's no you're not getting vitamin D or whatever you think, C or whatever. I mean, there's doctors out there that are downright tell you sugar, cut sugar out of your diet. Sugar's cancer, causes cancer, basically. I mean, cancer lives on it. But that's what their carts are filled with. And, they're overweight. They've got probably have diabetes, or they're type 2 diabetes, right? What they call pre-diabetes, which is the same as having diabetes. And they're headed for heart disease and all these other causes of death. And that's why 40,000 people a week die of things that are, preventable, treatable, and even curable. But the government profits on it because this person ends up, having a heart, problems. So they have some kind of stent put in them, and that's money made for, big med. Then they're put on some kind of drug for that heart problem or diabetes. So big pharma profits on that. You see? Big ag is selling the high fructose corn syrup, right? The corn crops and all that crap, And it's one big circle jerk, and who loses? Basically the poor. Because the rich live in these neighborhoods and they go to these Widmans and Whole Foods stores and stuff like that. I mean, we don't have any of that shit around here. Wedgmans or whatever. I don't know. There's some place, I don't know. I got some relatives. They talk about these places where they could buy all this good food. And besides, that stuff's real expensive. So if you're on a budget, it's really cheap to buy crappy food. And then they pump out when, you go down in the morning, and they pump out, they've got an exhaust fan. It's pumping out this from the they're frying chicken. Okay. And they're pumping out the smell of fried chicken. And they have that they have that intentionally, the vent in the front, out at the front of the building. So you get out of the car and you smell like fried chicken, right? They're tormenting people, tormenting them. When you first walk in the grocery store down where I go, the first thing they have is all candy right before you get to the produce aisle. It's in the produce aisle. But the first thing you see is you get your cart and round the bend, because you have to go you can only go one way, the way that store's set up. And the first thing on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, there's nothing. I mean, that's this where the carts are or something, a wall. On the right-hand side, right before you hit the produce section, it's in the produce aisle. But, before you get there, it's just, I would say 16, 18, 20 feet, Florida, top shelf of candies. And it's always the seasonal candies, right? And when it's not seasonal candies, it's still some kind of weird sugary treats, right? But so, we're, coming up, I guess Easter's the next big holiday. And I haven't gone down there in a while because the last time I got groceries delivered the last time. So I'm sure they got all the sugar Easter. They got all the Easter bunnies, chocolate bunnies, peep chicks, jelly beans, and all that kind of crap. And this person's coming in and they just got their EBT card filled up. If they're single, they got probably $195 on it. If they've got a couple of kids, they might have a couple of $100. Right? Plus they're getting cash. And they're getting free housing and free medical. All right? So they got all this stuff, so they're going and if they have to bring a kid with them, mommy, can I, And, it's yeah, sure, here. Have some peep chicks, grab some Reese's Hey, they got Reese's peanut butter. Did you ever see that commercial? It's actually a good commercial. It's on I saw it on some stupid thing. I play solitaire sometimes on my Fire TV. Whoever designed that app is a genius. Because you could just play it with your remote control. It's weird. Works well. It's very ergonomically easy and all that stuff, But there was a commercial that in between, when you win, it's interesting how they do it. If you lose, you play the game again. But when you win, they turn you to a commercial. So it's reward, win, I just won, feel good. Now commercial, and they're real short commercials, so you don't get aggravated or anything. They only last. And they have one commercial, I don't know if you see it, maybe on regular TV, but I don't have it. And it goes, who needs to go to Mars? We put potato chips in Reese's peanut butter cups. And then they show this like close up of the Reese's peanut butter cup, right? Potato chips in Reese's peanut butter cups. And then it's like back to the solitaire game, right? You see what kind of exciting life I have. I play solitaire on my fucking TV. But think about that. The absurdity of that to begin with, right? I mean, come on, you guys even get into that.
Really funny.
Potato chips in a Reese's peanut butter cup. I mean, how more like heart unhealthy can you get and pre-diabetic can you get? Right? We put who needs to go to Mars? It was Mars. If I said moon before, it wasn't. Who needs to go to Mars when we've put potato chips in a Reese's peanut butter cup? That's true. I wouldn't dare touch that with a 10-foot pole. I mean, but I would, and I can imagine, the only next best thing to it, and I'm sure people have done it, is you take that Reese's peanut butter cup with a potato chip in it and use it and dip it into an ice cream, right? And take a bite out of it that way, man. This is like what they're doing to people. I know this has been a show about nothing, but at least it's been a lot more upbeat than yesterday's show, so. But I think, you get the idea. So, for those of you who might have been concerned about me.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I mean, I'm alive. I'm just going to try. Hopefully, what can I say?
Good morning.
I'm going to give it the old Irish try and hopefully solve some of these problems. Whether or not it'll succeed or, bend over and have a heart attack doing it, no. Anyway, go to rockflux.com. And I have links on RockFlux, and I think in below this video of my PayPal account. So if you want to make a donation, if you don't want to buy my book, then what? Buy the print version for only $9.95 on Amazon. Great Solar Stuff has all that stuff for power failures. I mean, we're headed, this grid is not going to last forever. And I've got all these great sayings on these shirts, hoodies, hats, aprons. I mean, you name it, there's a whole thing. Just go to RockFlux and there's links there. My website isn't like a website per se, like we looked at that doctor's site. My website's just basically a collection of links to help support the show. Maybe someday I'll build it out and put some more stuff in it, but I can't guarantee that. I'm doing so many things, just trying to hold myself together, keep the bugs at bay, keep the cat alive, get the garden going, and keep the roof from caving in. You know what I mean? So I could appreciate any help you might want to support this broadcast and well, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, take care. Have a great day. Cheers.